Who was here late night on New Year's Eve? Raise your hand. Okay. That's it? Well, those who weren't, you missed out on a just an amazing night, an amazing presentation by the kids, and it was just wonderful to be together as a family. And Abuna gave us a talk that I will remember for years to come. And so, if you weren't here this past, make sure, I urge you, put it on your calendar. It's December the 31st of 2020 that you will be here and celebrate with us. All right? Okay. So it's a new year, and all that we're thinking of right now is the meat? No, it's the coming of the birth of Jesus. So it's a new beginning. New beginnings are always a chance to start something new, different, new chances, second chances. And the Bible talks about this particular time in the book of Galatians, where Paul says, when the fullness of time had come. And I'm not a theologian, I'm not أنا مش راجل لاهوتي علمي له دارس, لكن when I hear the fullness of time, it just brings up so much thinking. The fullness of time. Like, is that like, it's not the end of time, but like something is about to happen. Something is maturing. Something is great about to happen, right? The fullness of time. And this is true, as the Bible says. It was time for God to send his son, born of a woman, born under the law. And so, as we all know, the story has so many key players. There's the angels. There is so much that's going to happen in the next 24 or 48 hours as we celebrate the birth of Jesus. But again, it starts with this. There's no room in the inn. As Mary was about to give birth to the son, to the baby Jesus. And, we all remember the story, no room at the inn, and we give it some taste of like holiness to it. There's no room at the inn. But the reality is, today, if we had gone online and tried to make a booking in Bethlehem, it will come back that all rooms are fully booked. Whether you go on Orbitz or you go on whatever website you use to book hotels. All the hotels were booked. There was nothing divine. There was nothing mystical. There was nothing majestic about it other than it's a fact. All rooms were booked. And why is that? Because the governor at that time decided there will be a census, so everybody had to go to his own town. Just like, we have elections. I think this year we have elections, right? Not in Egypt, here. So those of you who are going to be able to vote for the first time, you're going to start moving and get your registration and decide who you're going to vote for and whatever. So these are things that have no religious or spiritual or holy touch to it. It's just things that happen in life. There was a census, people were moving around, and there was no room in the inn, simply. But yet, that very simple fact was key and was part of God's glorious, eternal plan in the fullness of time. And we often, live our lives on a daily basis, go to work, come to work, do this and do that. And we don't think of that as being a very spiritual part of our life. If I'm here in church, oh yeah, this is church. So I dress differently, I be at my best behavior, and then I walk out of here and I go to work, and it's like 180 degrees. I'm a different person. But nothing really happened differently. God, who's with us tonight or this morning here, He's also, as you're driving to work and there is a traffic jam or there is an accident or someone calls you with a bad news or you wake up with some headache or the kids are not doing well or you have a test and you're not prepared, this is happening. This is life. But God is also part of it. He is part of life as it happens, as it unfolds. As you struggle with math or algebra or social studies, or as you struggle with other things in your own private life, these are part of who we are, and this is part of what God is doing in your life and in my life to bring out His eternal purposes. It doesn't have to be that I knelt down and I prayed and God came to me and spoke to me. No, when baby Jesus was born in the manger, it happened to be the only available spot for Him. And if you run into things in your life that may not, be what you want to be, or God is behind that. God is doing stuff. Don't just pretend that this is God and this is church and this is life and this is work and this is my kids and everything is different. It's a journey of faith. And we need to learn to enjoy every single minute of our lives. As Abuna was telling us, it's not just a new year, it's a new decade. So we have a whole block of 10 years, those of us who will make it, inshallah. But if not, then it's still part of the journey. It's a journey of faith, like the baby Jesus traveled after some very, very turbulent times. I'm not sure who's next to have a baby. I know who it is right there in the back. And imagine if Carol's day comes and John is out of town and there's a major, God forbid, there's a major snowstorm and she can't call anybody. Oh, imagine the drama that can happen to that. This is how Jesus was born, in a very dramatic circumstances. And then He went on to Egypt, and we know the rest of the story. And Mary was keeping it all in her heart because it was part of God's journey. It was part of her faith journey. There's a book that I read in my teen years. It's called He is There and He is Not Silent. And yes, He is in every day, in every minute, in every second of our lives, whether we are aware of it, whether people around us are aware of it or not. Secondly, as we start a new beginning, there's a man by the name of Philip Yancey who wrote many, many books. He's a Christian philosopher and thinker. He's currently with us. He's still alive, and he still writes. Some of his writings have been translated to numerous languages, and it's been speaking to the hearts of many young people in this age. So one of the books that he wrote is The Jesus I Didn't Know. And in it he describes a journey of his own faith where he started looking and reading about the life of Jesus as if he had never done this before. And in a way that opened up for him so many different aspects of Jesus' life. And he came out of that with a deeper understanding and a deeper knowledge and a deeper intimate faith and relationship with Christ. It's a new beginning. And we are used to our brains and our lives are programmed. Because we've done things as we were kids, we've heard all the stories in Sunday school, we know them all by heart. So it doesn't really have any more sense or meaning. But open your mind. Start fresh. Read the Gospels. Read the New Testament. Start reading the Old Testament with a new perspective, to think and to find out about the Jesus that you didn't know. That you may grow up just thinking it's just the cross on my wrist, or it's just a picture that's hanging in my wall as a child. That's Jesus. But yes, he is, but he is more. And eternity will not be sufficient for us to even know him, because that's what Paul said. If there's anything I want in my life, is to know him and the power of his resurrection. So get on your Bible, get on your knees and learn God in a new way. As you do that, make it your own faith. Abuna talked a lot this year and many times about making your faith your own, not mama's or teta's, or because I am Orthodox, because I grew up in this church, I am here. And some of us have just come to the church, whether you're dating or you're, hopefully getting married to someone else, I don't know, but make it your own faith. This is something that matters to you personally, not just as part of the heritage that we all inherited. It's a new beginning. You know what it ultimately comes to is who's in charge of your life. And, the world we live in today has kind of gotten a little different from when I grew up or some of, my peers grew up. We were shocked and stunned by the landing of a man on the moon. And now we're talking of a driverless car. And as this is happening, there are so many different gods trying to get our attention and claim to be the ultimate satisfaction and the ultimate goal in life. And sometimes we fall victims to, that Apple sign, I'm talking about the Apple products. They claim that they will answer all your questions. And nothing against, science and everything else. But who's ultimately controlling my destiny and my life? Who do you think it is? Who do you want it to be? Is it possessions, materials, gains? It's not a secret that we live in a state that has the highest, if not the high, one of the highest, if not the highest number of poverty. More than 30% of children in Ohio live under the poverty line. This is reality. What are we going to do about it? Where does my faith fit in all of that? Am I just trying to buy my way to eternity and buy my way to heaven and try and bribe God with some good deeds, So, make it even. I'm a good guy. I don't do stuff. Great, good for you. But if he's Lord of your life, or is he? Am I on the same wavelength? Do I capture his heart? Do I know what his heart wants for people in Ohio, in Cleveland, in Chagrin Falls, in wherever it is you live, Rocky River? Do I have the heart of God? And if not, let's kind of tap into that as we learn more about Jesus, as we start afresh, as we celebrate life's events that happen to us and know how God's hand is behind it. And as we celebrate in the next day the glorious birth of Jesus and God coming to become man, maybe you have a role in this. Maybe he has called you for something. And as Esther was told, who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this. I don't care whether you're old or young or don't speak English or don't speak Arabic or you have no talents. Are you part of God's kingdom? And as such, are you in his journey? This is, we all know this place was the Cathedral of Notre Dame that burned this year in Paris. And it's in ruins, and still is. This may be some of our own lives. There are churches, and I don't mean Coptic, but there are churches everywhere that may be in ruins. Not the building, but the people of God. And maybe this is a new beginning of a new decade where I can be part of the solution. I can be part of God's desire for mankind. Love the world. Love your neighbor. Go and teach them. You know, later this afternoon, the youth, I'll hopefully be there, and some of adults as well, will be going to our neighborhood homeless shelter. And I'm telling you, it's one of the things that I look forward to every month. It's 2 hours of bliss, of blessing, just seeing the needs and seeing how very little our youth do and how much blessing it brings to these homeless, drug addicts, recovering addicts, who knows their backgrounds. And maybe you have something on your heart that you may want to do or start on your own. Go for it. It's time for new beginnings. To him be the glory forever and ever. Amen.